In a sport controlled and dominated by men, on a team called Alpha Male, there is a fighter who stands out from the rest. She is Miesha Tate, an up-and-coming star in the world of mixed martial arts.
It's like the ultimate reward when you win a fight. There's really no better feeling or anything I can compare it to. You have your tools, they have their tools, you step in the cage, and for that, next 15 minutes or however long you're in there, it's all about who's the better athlete and who's worked harder, and that's the reason that I'm winning fights. I'm not particularly anything that anyone else couldn't be. I'm not an extraordinary athlete, but I work hard, I work every day, I work diligently, I eat right, and I make sure that I'm confident in my fights.
By starting out in wrestling, and then making the move to fighting, twice now, Tate has been a pioneer.
When I started wrestling, I was wrestling on an all-male team, and they really didn't have a lot of women, so it was really new. People didn't really understand it, and then the same thing as when I was coming into MMA, it was still getting new. So I kind of went through the process, the 4 years of wrestling, I watched it evolve, and now the 4 years of MMA, I kind of did the same thing over. So now I think MMA is a lot more accepting of females. We have us fighting on network television, mainstream with Strikeforce, and it's just a process of growing, and that's what it's doing, so I can't complain.
Female cage fighters still have barriers to break down. Some top industry leaders think women's mixed martial arts is not yet viable. However, Tate feels that fighting is about much more than differences between men and women.
I feel like people kind of put a stereotype on MMA and women's MMA in particular, whereas I really don't see it as anything different than people going for their dreams and what they want. Just because I'm a woman doesn't make me any less capable, okay? Yeah, physically I might not be quite as strong, but I can be just as technical, I can be fast, I can be exciting, it's an entertainment business, and I think the women put on, amazing fights, usually fight of the night, and I don't see why, we shouldn't be out there competing alongside the men. We do the same practices, we work, sweat, bleed, sometimes harder than the men do, so.
So far, there's been no big rush of sponsors, but a few forward-thinking companies are getting in on the action.
It's a different deal for the women. It's still coming around. There are certain companies, that we've called before saying, hey, Miesha's fighting in this tournament, she's doing this, she's doing that, she's fighting on Showtime, and they're like, well, Miesha, she's a female, we don't sponsor females, no thank you. And they don't even want to talk about it. But there's a lot more sponsors that are really excited about it because they kind of see it as the future, and the women are kind of stealing the show. And so there's a lot of people that I'm working with that are just awesome. I've got 5-Star, I've got Cage Hero, this is a Cage Candy shirt, which is also kind of cool is in that they're targeting women's clothing now, even a few years ago, you couldn't find any women's gear to train in. You couldn't find women's cage fighting associated clothing to wear.
So how does a young woman decide to become a fighter? For Tate, it started in high school. Looking for a sport to compete in after cross-country season ended, she joined the wrestling team, becoming the first female wrestler ever to compete for her school.
Well, I won the Coaches Award my senior year of wrestling, and it was totally unexpected, being pretty much the only female on the team, at least consistently all 4 years, was really saying something that, a male-dominated sport, male coaches, male teammates would pick me for the Coaches Award. It really touched my heart and inspired me and let me know that I was doing something right.
Coming out of high school with a desire for more competition, Tate jumped into the world of mixed martial arts by joining a team started by current UFC featherweight Bryan Caraway.
Wrestling gave me a great base as a fighter. Coming into MMA, I think it's the most important aspect of MMA, the most important martial art to come in with, because it allows you to dictate where the fight goes. Whether you want to keep it on your feet or you want to take it to the ground, wrestling is that key factor.
While Tate has challenged herself to become a fighter, she's challenged society's conceptions of women and also challenged her parents' support of her new career path.
I think I aged them like 10 years, like both of them. The first time they saw me fight, it wasn't a very pretty scene. I got my nose broken my first fight, and it was really bloody and everything, and I think my parents were just totally horrified. They thought wrestling was bad, and my dad still has trouble stomaching it, but they support me 110%, and I appreciate that.
In her search to be the best, Tate moved to Sacramento, California, and joined WEC champion Urijah Faber's Alpha Male Fight Camp. Here, she has the opportunity to work with some of the top fighters in the world in her weight class.
The fight camps are really grueling. They usually start about 6 to 8 weeks out, and it entails morning practice, pro practice every day. And I'm in here at Urijah Faber's school working with top guys like Bryan Caraway, Urijah Faber, Joseph Benavidez. And all these really phenomenal guys at my weight class are constantly pushing me to be the best because they're the best at that weight class.
Tate recently won the Strikeforce women's welterweight title by defeating Marloes Coenen in an exciting fight, ended by arm triangle choke late in the 4th round. She's also become a star with a quickly growing fan base, and she has not been afraid to use her newfound popularity to be a role model, especially for young women.
I really would like to be an inspiration to women up and coming, and say, well, while she did it when it was even harder for women to do it, and I want to be able to help women feel somewhat empowered. I want them to feel like just because you're female doesn't mean you can't do anything or that you can't do what you want to do. You can. It's just a matter of doing it.
Besides teaching and inspiring women to reach for their own dreams, Tate also has some advice to those who want to follow in her footsteps.
This is really, really important as a female. A lot of females miss this. There's a time and place to be a woman, and it's not in the practice room. You know what I mean? You're not a female in there, you're a training partner, you're another person, you're another guy. You know what I mean? That's not the time to be, having any provocative anything at all. You need to be dressing in appropriate attire, and that is crucial. I can't stress how important that is, because if you come in there and you make yourself into a female, everyone's going to see you as nothing more than that. If you come in there, you treat yourself as an equal, and you don't take any, easy routes out, and you don't act like a woman in there, they're going to respect you as another teammate. And that's what I've learned coming up through the years in wrestling and the years in fighting.
Through years of hard work and dedication, she has brought herself to the top of this young sport and hopes that it's only the beginning.
MMA has really changed my life, you know what I mean? I never in a million years growing up, ever thought that I would be a fighter. I just never did. And, I'm fighting on television, and it's kind of made me into, somewhat of a star. And I feel like I'm one of the luckiest people in the world, that I get to wake up and do what I love doing every day. And I get to travel, and I love my job. It's just, I don't know, I guess I never even thought that it could go this far even when I started doing it. I just knew it was something I loved. And now it's developed into so much more that I just hope it keeps going at this rate. It's just been great to me so far.